Hello my lovelies, this is Candy Cyanide. Welcome back to my channel. This is going to be another Cyanide Filled Life update, or whatever I decide to call this week. I'm sorry, I know I change the name of it like every week, but I feel like saying it was like a mental health vlog was kind of misrepresenting a little bit, since I do just basic life updates along with that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna change the name, but we'll see. First of all, I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who has been supporting the channel, especially with the last series I've been working on, Cooking Companions. I'm not sure why, but I've actually gotten quite a few views on the latest video that I've done. I checked this morning. Well, I checked last night and was like, whoa. And I checked again this morning. It was like 66 views in 6 days, which I know for a lot of bigger YouTubers doesn't sound like a lot, but for me, that's like amazing. Thank you guys so much. I'm not sure why that happened in particular, but I hope people enjoyed it because I really do enjoy the series. More videos should be coming soon. Sorry, I've kind of slacked off. I've been like moving and everything, kind of like I mentioned in the last video that I posted about it being late. So, yeah, and I also don't have internet right now, but I should very, very soon, which is also another reason why I'm going to try to keep this as short as humanly possible. Also, this is going to be like one of my life update videos where I go into what's going on with my life, my mental health, physical health, all of that good stuff. So if that is not your cup of tea, please click off the video. I do appreciate the support, but I always want you to take care of yourself first and your mental health. I also apologize for not doing one of these in a while. I know a lot of people do watch these and a lot of people do care about what's going on with me. Part of that has just been because, like I said, the lack of internet and me moving and everything on top of work. And honestly, another little part of that has also been just me not feeling like sharing for some reason. I don't know why. It's just lately I've been kind of a little bit more distant than I usually am. And it's got nothing to do with like not liking anyone or, anything like that. It's just, I don't know, a thing I've been feeling lately. So, as I mentioned earlier, I did move. That was a little bit of a hassle. It's kind of like jumping through hoops for whatever fucking reason. Like, I had trouble viewing the new place, and once I did that and decided that I was coming, like, I had trouble saving up the money for it. And then after that, I found out that they require, what am I trying to say? That they required a background check before I could move in, and nobody had told me anything. So that delayed me getting moved in more. And then, like, some other stuff happened that delayed me from getting moved in, and blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I finally got moved in. I did my cleaning like I usually do, and I've got it looking somewhat decent. I haven't done a lot of decorating, but I've got like a computer set up and curtains and beds, like all the essentials, so I'm cool. Another big thing that happened, you guys do know I got hired recently, but I am quitting that job. I've pretty much decided that I'm quitting that job. And the reason for that is, again, I'm going to try to make this as short as possible because honestly, I've tried to record this. Like, I've tried to record what's going on, like, weeks up until now. Like, I've actually done a recording weeks until now, but they kind of dragged out long because there was a lot happening as far as my job. Let's see, I'm going to give you guys a cliff notes as best as I can. First thing, I got hired, and, like, maybe a week or so later, the lead quit and another employee quit. So it's basically me and this other guy and one other guy who doesn't do anything. The one guy that actually does work, I'll call him A, and the other guy R, that doesn't do any work. Yeah, it was just us three, and then our closer Kay. So honestly, I was fine with that. Like, I got frustrated a little bit because I do take pride in my work, and so when things aren't looking the way they should, like if the department isn't full or anything like that, I get frustrated. And part of that is my own perfectionism, and the other part is, I've just been kind of traumatized by the other company I worked for. And I know that's kind of like a strong word, but it really is that, because I'm constantly thinking, oh God, I'm going to lose my job. They're going to come here and they're going to berate us because everything isn't absolutely perfect, even though we don't have the help. And honestly, that didn't happen. And I was shocked by that. But yeah. Anyway, fast forward to about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we got a transfer from up north. And first day, everything was fine. And it's like immediately after that, things just like went to hell in a handbasket. This person just started, and I'm just gonna call them by their real name, John, because it's such a basic name that can apply to anyone. That's very hard to pinpoint. Anyway, John came and basically tried to talk over everyone, tried to act like he was above everyone. And for me specifically, he would constantly talk down to, he would constantly like find things wrong with what I was doing and like treat me like I was stupid and like I didn't know what I was doing. And anyone who knows me knows I can put up with a lot, but two things that I absolutely cannot and will not tolerate is one, you talking down to me, and two, you treating me like I'm stupid and insulting my intelligence. That is absolutely not going to happen. And so he did both. And I kind of let it go. I let it go for about a week. And then we had another incident and I finally exploded. And I talked to my manager about it. And she was like, okay, we're going to have a meeting because, we weren't having these issues before he came, blah, blah, blah. So we had a meeting and all of a sudden it switched to, oh, well, he's just trying to tell you, the standards of the company and you're taking it personal when it's not, and all this like BS. Anyway, we stayed in the meeting for about 45 minutes and it was basically getting nowhere. He ended up apologizing at the very tail end of the meeting. Like it took him literally 30 to 40 minutes to apologize, which we had a meeting beforehand with K and R. And R accused me and Kay of leaving him out of the loop or whatever, because our district manager came in and he made the comment that me and Kay made a great team, which we do. And he said he didn't know about R. And I guess that got back to him, so he got in his feelings about it or whatever. And anyway, basically he accused us of leaving him out. We immediately apologized, even though like later on in retrospect, I thought about it and it was like, no, because when, our district manager made that comment, the first thing I did was come to you and let you know that, hey, you need to be in here working with me while he's here. So how am I leaving you out? How am I, treating you some kind of way? Anyway, I was a bit heated about that for a few days, but I let it go. My point is I immediately apologized. Because he thought I had made him feel a certain way, which was BS. But anyway, it took the other guy like 40 minutes to finally apologize, and the meeting wasn't ending because they saw in my face that like I was not buying it. And in the end, I ended up folding. I was like, okay, maybe I am taking it personally because, I've had this experience with that other company and blah, 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 blah. And finally walked out. Again, I know when I'm being mistreated, but I was willing to let it go and everything. And honestly, the next few days, everything was fine. And then I think on that third day, I ended up deciding to come in early because I had been thinking for a while, like, if I had an extra hour or so, I could get the department looking nice. And I came in an hour and a half earlier or so. And I got everything looking nice. And that just happened to be the day that our market manager came in. And so he did a walk through the store. And for once, we were ready. And I noticed that day that he was, kind of quieting to himself. And then, the following day, he ended up snapping at me again. And, we're back to this back and forth again. And he did try it with one of my other employees, Kay. But Kay kind of shut him down. He ended up going back and forth with him to show that he wasn't going to back down. And I was like, well, I've tried that and he still won't leave me alone. Anyway, we had a big altercation about an order about 4 days ago from now. We had a big altercation about an order because me and Kay had stopped doing the order, so things had gotten out of control. And basically, John used that to use that to go to the manager and complain about it, to make it seem like everybody else was failing, or the department was failing or whatever. And that's the thing that John does. John finds little things to complain about. He'll find any and everything to complain about other employees, but he also never does anything to actually, fix the problem or improve the problem. He just kind of sits back. He comes in, he does the exact same thing every single day, and then he leaves. And one of the complaints he had was the case wasn't set up right. And I'm like, well, you were here for 2 of those days. Why didn't you set up the case when you had the planogram? So yeah, that happened. And anyway, we had this big stint about the order because he ended up doing the truck and he did it by himself again so he could, make a show out of it. And he was like, no, we don't need to order anything. And I'm like, well, we need these, 1 or 2 items and that's it. He was like, no, we don't need anything. And we ended up going back and forth. And he was like, well, I wrote down the truck, so I get to decide what to order. And I was like, you know what, bet. And so I went back and I took off everything that I ordered. And sure enough, by the end of that day, we were out of all of that stuff. But I ended up texting my manager and I let her know exactly what I did and why I did it. So she was like, it's okay, we're going to have a meeting with the entire department, because Kay had also expressed his frustrations with R. And the thing with R is that R just walks around his entire shift and doesn't do anything. And I'm like, yeah, I could complain about that too, but I honestly don't care. Anyway, fast forward to the meeting. We get to the meeting and I tell them I'm having the same issues out of the same person. It's the same story, different day. And I'm tired of coming in here and busting my ass every day. Most of the time by myself, busting my ass every day, working to the point of exhaustion, just to get talked down to. And I was like, no matter what, I always come in here, I always do my job, and I'm always respectful. I'm like, some days I wake up and, I'm so sick that I can barely stand, and I still come in here and I do my job. And, I treat everybody right and I do what I'm supposed to do. And I was like, it's messing with my anxiety. I don't even like to work here anymore. I'm losing sleep over this and I'm sick of it. So, basically all of that got brushed aside because K and R got into a big, blowout, and they ended up going back and forth. And me, I'm sadly very passive. So I'm not the type to talk over people. And then in stressful situations, I can lose a lot of my train of thoughts. Anyway, K and R's drama ended up taking up the entire meeting. So basically my stuff did not get addressed. And come to find out, they ended up promoting John to the lead, which is, I was like, okay. Even though I told you I've had issues with this guy and other women at that. Because here's the thing, the 2 managers, they're both women. And most of the people, the meat and the deli department, are right by each other. So the deli department is all women until recently. And then there's me in the meat department. And, women typically don't work in the meat department. And he even made a comment about that, John did, when he first got there. So I've made complaints about him. Other women have made complaints about him. And you decide to give him a promotion because he basically made a complaint about really a situation that he took part in, that he was part of the problem in. so he could pretend like, everything was just a mess. And because of all the drama with R and K, that kind of, he kind of used that to say, oh, things were like bad way before I got here, and this, that, and the other. So basically my concerns did not get addressed at all in the meeting. And then right after, I was kind of on the fence because me and Kay were talking, and Kay was basically like, he's giving them 3 weeks, and if things don't change, then he's leaving because he's tired of, doing the work of 3 people, because R wants to, walk around and do nothing. And then when that becomes an issue, he wants to blame me and Kay. And I was like, honestly, I'm there with you. And I've been thinking about this for a minute anyway. And I always said, like, the day John gets promoted is the day that I quit. And that happened. I didn't think it would happen that soon. I honestly thought my managers were smarter than that, but apparently not. But I kind of thought about it that entire day, and I was like, if Kay leaves, then I'm definitely leaving, because I'm not, doing the work of 6 people. But the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, you know what, I'm done. Because basically John came in and, he's been playing nice for the past couple of days. And that is because, he got his way. He got promoted. So he's been playing nice with me the past couple of days, thinking that, I'm going to keep working the way I'm working and, make him look good. Because honestly, the department has improved, but that has been solely because of me and Kay. It's mostly Kay coming up with solutions, but also it's because I've been staying late and coming in early. So basically he came in and he didn't make any comments. He didn't apologize to me about anything. He didn't apologize for the blow up about the order. In fact, he was like, okay, I'm going to order this product, or I ordered this product because we're out of it. We're just out of it. Like, we didn't have a whole argument, a whole 20-minute argument with me trying to order this thing. And then the only thing he mentioned was like, oh, if you have a problem with me, then talk to me about it. Don't go to the manager. So that was basically, you're basically spitting in my face. So this guy is like a snake and a schemer. I didn't even mention all the underhanded stuff he did with R. Like, he basically used R to, boost himself up. R is the one who basically got the department in disarray, by the way. Because me and Kay, we stopped doing a lot of things. We used to do order. We used to do, like, our checklist in the morning. We used to do all of that. And we stopped doing it because we're tired of the bullshit. So we stopped doing that. And that is why the department got out of hand. And the funny thing about it is, like, R came in and he was like, oh, well, who does the truck? Me and John, we do the truck. Why is the cooler such a mess now? Why do we have this large order? And I'm like, bitch, you literally just said you did the truck. So why are we getting blamed for this? Anyway, I would sit there and I would watch John tell R what to order, but he would also make sure that R did it under his name and not John's name. That way they couldn't trace it back to John. And he's been doing that with, like, all of everything, the orders, the checklist, and all of that stuff. He's been making R do it under his name. And even the day we had that blowout where he said that, he broke down the truck, so he gets to decide what's on the truck, he still did not order under his name. He made R do it under his name. So it was all that underhanded shit that really got to me. And then the fact that we came back and you didn't even acknowledge, you didn't say, oh, Candy, I see what you were saying about those products. Candy, I'm sorry, I didn't listen to you. I see what you were saying about those products. And there was no type of acknowledgement, which is basically you spitting in my face. And now that you got your way, you want to sit here and play nice with me because you think that I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing and working myself to death so you can then take credit for it. And absolutely not. Like I said, this guy is a liar, a snake, and a schemer. And he's trying to make a fool out of any and everybody he can. I probably believes that thing about Southerners being stupid or whatever. Unfortunately, my managers proved him right on that point. But I honestly don't care. I'm at the point in my life where as long as you're not personally attacking me. And I even mentioned this in the meeting. I was like, there is a lot I could complain about that I don't. The only thing I ask is that you show me respect and don't talk down to me. That is literally the only thing I ask. And even if they had promoted him and, he was a lazy piece of shit manager, which I'm used to, that's just retail, unfortunately. If that was the case and he hadn't like attacked me, then, everything would be fine. I would continue doing what I'm doing. But for you to sit there and keep attacking me and treating me like I'm stupid, and then once you get your way, you think that I'm a fool and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing to make you look good for you to then go and take credit for? Absolutely freaking not. So, basically that's twice my complaints about being harassed by an employee were brushed aside. And honestly, I've been through this before with another company, and actually it was the exact same situation where it was a guy who couldn't stand working around women. He had a female manager and that like tore him apart. So he couldn't stand that. And he ended up, they ended up having to drop him from that department. And he tried to come to our meat department. And my manager at the time was like, absolutely not. So they ended up giving him a promotion anyway to the frozen lead. And ever since then, it was nothing but issues. Like, he would curse me and my people out. And by my people, I mean me and my meat department. He would curse us out for absolutely no reason, snap on us. He would leave our product on the floor, which is like seafood, like that could literally kill someone. And management did absolutely nothing about it. And here we are, I'm at a different company with another problem employee who can't stand being around women. By the way, once the lead quit earlier this year, like after I first started, they immediately offered me the position of lead. But I was like, I just got here, a couple of weeks ago. I don't want to be in charge when I don't even know how everything works yet. It was that plus the fact of, that other company really just killed my drive to be a manager. Being a manager is just basically a word for being a fall guy, honestly. It's so not worth it most of the time. Unless you're in like upper management making like a huge amount of money. And even then, I don't think it's worth it. Because the person above you is going to constantly blame you. They're going to constantly find this bullshit to blame you for. And they don't care about what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I think it got back to him that me and Kay were being considered for the management position, and that like really burned him. And I think that's why us two, more than anything, he just berated and, talked down to and treated us like we were stupid. So, yeah. But anyway, like I said, that's not going to fly with me. I've basically decided that I'm quitting. It's going to take something drastic for me to change my mind. And by something drastic, I mean either John leaves completely, not just steps down, he needs to like leave completely, or they need to offer me an absurd amount of money. Because even though I'm making a decent amount of money now, I'm still not going to like put up with that bullshit. I will take a pay cut and be fine with it. So, yeah, this ended up running on longer than I intended. I didn't even get into, like, all the stuff that's been happening. And that's just because, like I said, I'm trying to keep it as short as possible. But, yeah, I'm basically quitting. I haven't told her yet. Even though Kay, he immediately went to her and he was like, if things don't change in 3 weeks, then I'm gone. This is, like, basically your 3 weeks notice. I still haven't, because I did actually want to think on it, even though I pretty much made my decision. And I talked to both of my parents about it, and they were both like, we know what you do. We know how hard you work. And they were like, you don't need to put up with that bullshit. Do whatever you need to do. So I got the support of my parents. I'm cool. But yeah, I pretty much decided I'm quitting. Is the long and short of that. I do want to do a cleanse before I tell the manager, just in case. But yeah, that's that on that. Besides that, mentally, I have not been 100% at all. Along with all the stress at work, there's there's also something else pretty big that happened to my family this year. And I'm not going to go into detail about it just because it didn't personally happen to me. It happened to another family member, and it's kind of their business. And it's something big that people would probably judge about, and I don't want to put that out into the universe or whatever. So that happened, along with, me just missing my sister, me missing her kids, and thinking about that whole situation. And, Christmas is coming up. Thanksgiving is coming up. This is going to be, our first Christmas without her. And I think that's just going to hit everybody pretty hard. Like, her birthday just passed, and, I had a little bit of a moment. Sorry if I'm getting, if my voice is cracking or whatever. Her birthday just passed. I had a little moment, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But for some reason, the Christmas thing is, really hitting me. So it's that, along with, for some reason, and during the winter time, my depression just gets turned up to 1,000 anyway. Like my normal depression, even if everything is going great, winter's gonna come, and I'm just gonna, it's gonna hit me like crazy. Which is sad, because winter, this time of year is actually my favorite time of year. So, yeah. Anyway, like I said, my depression's just been at 1,000 lately. So I've been struggling with that, but moving and just kind of having my own space. And honestly, my roommate's been kind of AWOL for a minute, but that's given me some time alone, which I desperately needed. No offense to my friends, not that I'm not grateful for everything they did, because I truly am, and I love them with my everything. It's just I have needed some alone time to kind of get myself together, especially with everything going on at work. But yeah, like I said, my depression's just been at 1,000. Physically, I've been off and on. I have been having flare-ups. They haven't lasted as long, I guess. But and sorry if this is gross to you guys, but I have IBS, and I do talk about my body and everything. My bowels have locked up again, and they actually haven't been locked up for quite some time now. But they've locked up, and I think that's part of why I'm having as bad as a flare up as I am, along with all the stress. Because another thing about IBS, one of the biggest triggers, or at least in my case, the absolute biggest trigger is stress, which is why I try to brush off a lot of things. And why with work stuff, I'm I'm just gonna come in and do what I need to do, as long as no one messes with me, I'm cool. I don't care if other people don't do their job. I'm not gonna stress about it. So that's a big part of why I try to keep calm as much as I can, because that stuff literally makes me so sick. It will take me out, and I will be bedridden, no joke. So yeah, I don't know, that's about all of it. I finally got my internet order. There was a whole thing with that. Hopefully I can get back on track with videos and all of that good stuff. I don't know, I got nothing else, and this video ran on for way too long, and I apologize for that. But for any of you who still listen, I appreciate you for listening to me babble about the dumb shit happening in my life. But yeah. Oh, and just to kind of make it a little bit more clear about how I work, because I know there's a lot of people who will be like, oh, that's just a part of life, that's work life, blah blah blah. And again, like I said, if it wasn't for the fact that they personally came after me and treated me that way, I wouldn't care. I don't care, what anyone else does. I don't care if they decide to work or not that day. For just an example, even though after all of that stuff happened, a couple of days ago, I ended up working literally a 12-and-a-half-hour shift with no break. And the guy they just promoted just basically milled around, and at the end of the day wouldn't even help me and Kay clean up, even though it kept us over a couple of hours. So yeah, that's the type of worker I am. And I know a lot of people would be like, oh, don't just stop working that way. And honestly, it's like I'm physically incapable of doing that for some stupid reason. I guess it's my perfectionism, it's my overachieving nature. I've been that way since I was a kid, to where no matter what happens, that's how I work. Because, like, even after my first job, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to this next job. I'm not going to do what I've been doing, because I saw that doesn't work out for me, that it doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. And then I go to the last company I was at and do the exact same thing. To where I dedicate my life to work, and I'm married to my job, and I just always go above and beyond. And even now, even though I'm quitting this job, I'm still doing the exact same shit. And I honestly wish I could stop, but I cannot. But anyway, that's all I got. I just wanted to kind of, I don't know, clarify a little bit more. Anyway, I appreciate you guys if you have listened this long. Sorry this ran on as long as it did, but love you guys much. Be safe and be kind to yourself and others, and I will see you in the next video. All right, love you. Bye.